the theme of bravery returns in Arya's story, this time in a bit of an historical lesson, because Harwin is teaching Arya about the Battle of the Bells, so named because at the beginning of the battle, the town's septons tolled their bells to warn the citizens of the battle and to persuade them to stay inside their houses. And this is the first time we hear about this pivotal battle that turned the tables during Robert Baratheon's rebellion. Now, the name that this battle is mostly associated with is that of Jon Connington, the Griffin, already mentioned a couple of times. Although it might be a bit difficult for a first-time reader to place the pieces together. I mean, the first time in this book, Storm of Swords, when Arstan, a.k.a. Whitebeard, says to Jorah Mormont, young Lord Connington was dear to Prince Rhaegar, but his oldest friend was Arthur Dayne. That's literally all we get about Jon Connington at first. And that's in Daenerys 1. Next piece of the puzzle is given to us in Jaime 2, again, this same book. But George R. R. Martin is so mean that he finds an excuse to withhold the name by writing this sort of thought bubble in Jaime's head when he's thinking about the 4 men who succeeded his father Tywin as hands of the king. And he says to himself, so swiftly did the hands rise and fall that Jaime remembered their heraldry better than their faces. The Horn of Plenty hand, that's not it. The what do you call it? The dancing. I've lost my mark. The dancing Griffin hand, that's the one. Had both been exiled. The Horn of Plenty hand and the dancing Griffin hand. And they had both been exiled. Yeah, again, that's literally it. That's all we're told. And the first-time reader, if attentive, might put 2 and 2 together in this chapter when Harwin explains to Arya, Connington wounded your grandfather Tully. He wounded him sore. That's Hoster Tully. And he killed Sir Dennis Arryn, the darling of the Vale. But when Connington saw the day was lost, he flew off as fast as the griffins on his shield. See? Now you got 2 pieces of the jigsaw. So you know that Jon Connington equals a griffin equals Hand of the King, who ended up in exile. Why did he end up in exile? Because he lost the Battle of the Bells. Ha! So easy. We come full circle. So you mentioned Battle of the Bells to a seasoned reader, and one thinks Jon Connington, especially for the association we're given in the Dance of Dragons, because this defeat, as you can imagine. So let me just close this door because it's bugging me. That's a fun that keeps on spinning and it's bugging me. Because obviously, for obvious reasons, this defeat keeps haunting Mr. Griffin. Jon Connington, because, he spelled out the ruin, the end of his life. Or did he? I don't want to give out any spoilers. We don't know, actually. No. Okay, let's scrap that. There will be references to this Battle of the Bells in association with Jon Connington in a Dance with Dragons. So anyway, But the fact is George R. R. Martin gives us bits of info so sparingly, because it's not like Harwin is saying Jon Connington, who at the time was Hand to the King, little known fact, or little fun fact rather. This is, it depends. I mean, if you have got access to history textbooks, it might be a little known fact. To Arya it certainly was, but Harwin doesn't exactly spell it all out so clearly. He doesn't say that at all. No. Anyway, wow, where are my manners? Sorry, dear listener. Welcome to A Storm of Swords 29, and that's Arya 5. Connington, Yeah, now I'm going on about John Connington. I'm on a roll. I'm on fire. I'm unstoppable. And Connington is also mentioned in Bran 2, where at the tourney of in Harrenhal, the Crannog men saw a maid with laughing purple eyes dance with a white sword, a red snake, and the Lord of Griffins, and lastly with the quiet wolf. Okay, which in the fairy tale fable language used by Mira Reed means Ashara Dane dancing with her brother Arthur Dane, Oberyn Martell, John Connington, and finally Eddard Stark, in that order. So there. Anyway, what was the objective of this gosh darned Battle of the Bells? Why? To smoke out Robert Baratheon, of course, who was hiding in various houses of random citizens of the town called Stony Sept. And since Robert was always a busy bee, he didn't miss an opportunity to father another illegitimate offspring in one of these safe houses. A certain gal called Bella, whom we'll meet real soon. Ned Stark was also in Stony Sept at the time, and that's really the reason Harwin brought up the subject in the first place, i.e. to tell Arya that a great battle was won there by her father in Stony Sept. See? And since you know the outcome of the battle, namely that Ned and Robert kicked John Connington's ass, you also know that as a result, King Aerys exiled Connington, the Griffin Hand, who went into exile to Essos or Issos, depending on how you choose to pronounce it, where he is believed to have drunk himself to death. That's all we know. Okay. So I'm going to be discreet here. But then again, is that what really happened to him? We'll have to keep reading, I guess. And anyway, why is Harwin telling this whole story to Arya? Well, the reason is that they have all arrived at Stony Sept. So you can kind of trace the itinerary on the map here, see? Since these traveling companions have left the Inn of the Kneeling Men, and then High Heart, then Acorn Hill, and remember, she's technically still a captive in the hands of the Brotherhood without banners. Last we checked, they were going to take Arya to Lord Beric Dondarrion to see what he wanted done with her, although everyone's guess was that he was going to order to take Arya to her mama, Catelyn, and sell her back to her. So they're all being nice and respectful towards Arya, even Harwin, who goes way back with her, way back since the Winterfell days. But at the end of the day, they're still technically kidnappers after a ransom. There, I said it. So as they enter Stony Sept, we learn that although the city's defenses are tight, the captain of the gate opens up immediately as soon as he recognizes the Brotherhood without banners, because apparently the city has been helped through its hardship by the brothers. Told you, Robin Hood, right? Yeah, I mean, the parallels are there. In fact, Tom asks the captain if they're all right for food this time, which apparently they are this time, because a certain huntsman brought in a whole flock of sheep recently. A huntsman, mysterious character, so far. Some more gossip, this and that, and Jaime Lannister having escaped from Lord Edmure, with the implication that the above-mentioned, his father lost Lord Hoster, is no longer in charge. Yeah, because if the having released Jaime is put on Lord Edmure's doorstep, that it means that it is the latter who is in charge of River Run. And poor Lord Hoster could kick the bucket any minute now, as a matter of fact. And in fact, this huntsman has actually set the dogs loose on a manhunt because he reckons that Jaime might have attempted to sail the Blackwater Rush in order to eventually reach King's Landing. Spoiler, he didn't. I mean, it's not really a spoiler, we know, because Brienne took the Red Fork, didn't she? But this huntsman has a score to settle with the Westerners, quote unquote, as the captain calls them, because they, well, there it is. I'm just going to read the text literally here. They raped his wife and sister, put his crop to the torch, ate half his sheep, and killed the other half for spite, and killed 6 dogs too, for good measure. Jeez, George. Could the story be any more tragic? But I do like the effect it has on the reader, learning about all these tragedies before you even encounter the character, the huntsman in the flesh. Before you know him, before you see his face, so to speak, you're told of his backstory. So that's already, that's a whole burden of, news thrust upon a character we haven't even encountered yet. So, anyway, as the band of outlaws proceeds to walk into town through the cobbled streets, Arya scans this town, She learns how to scan things, from Sirio Forel. Use your eyes to see, and so on. And she notices a couple of things. It's the biggest town she'd ever seen since King's Landing. And this lovely town, where her father once fought this famous battle. And, get ready for this, she notices a dozen iron cages for crows hanging from creaking wooden posts. In them, men, not crows, are held in captivity. Again, guess who put them there? Yep, you guessed it, the huntsman. So some of them are actually dead, we learn, been dead for a while, and others are barely alive. They're referred to as wolves by a townsman, so Arya immediately thinks, Rob's men, surely, or bannermen. What are they doing here, begging for water? The townsman explains, that they were roaming around Tumbler's Fall, looking to catch and kill the most wanted man of the hour, Jaime Lannister. But since they had no luck, they engaged in a bit of the old rape, murder, plunder. And so there they are now. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yep, Karstark men, yep. On the list of villains since Catelyn 3 from this same book, remember that? Yeah. And they're kept in crow cages. I mean, it's a horrible, slow death they're condemned to, by the way. Described here in gruesome detail because I'm assuming that there aren't any facilities to detain. Yeah, I mean, okay, but has anyone ever come across town jails in this series? Or a sheriff, whatever, some appointed, a law authority type guy? Because there are inns, pubs, even a brothel, like as we'll find out soon enough in this very chapter. So I guess drunken brawls must also be a thing, right? But I've never come across like an authority figure in any of these towns in the Seven Kingdoms, kind of like the Gold Cloak in King's Landing, Is there an equivalent in smaller towns? Like some kind of sheriff to come around and go, all right, come along, you'll sleep it off in a cell tonight, I tell you. This sort of character? There's no such figure, right? So I'm assuming that in these cases, the role of such an authority would be taken by the lord of the town, right? His men would go around town, grab the troublemakers and schlep them into the keep's dungeons, or oubliettes, as they're called. Does that make sense? Because later on, we find out that such authority in this particular town, some guy called Sir Wilbert, has been long dead, and his sons are nowhere to be seen because they're off fighting in the Westerlands, fighting along Robb Stark. We learn that because it's Tom Sevenstrings who asks, wait, did Sir Wilbert allow for these prisoners to be put in crow cages? I mean, it's not like the dungeons are a lot more humane, but yeah. But anyway, he's told in no uncertain terms. Yeah, well, no, you're not exactly Mr. Current Affairs, are you? like says Jason Statham in Snatch, was it? Nah, mate, you're not exactly Mr. Current Affairs, are you? Yeah, I don't do a very good Jason Statham. And no, the Wilberts are gone. We take the law into our own hands, know what I mean? Yeah. Courtesy of, drum roll, the Huntsman. Yeah. Hence the crow cages. I guess, as the saying goes, if all you have is a crow cage, then every prisoner must look like a crow to you. Or something along those lines. And Arya is mad at these so-called wolves for the crimes they committed, obviously, and is mad at them because they deserve, or maybe they don't deserve, to be put in those cages. But whatever the case, right now they're suffering, so that she hates them, but she pities them and for how they're being treated, and she doesn't even know how to feel about them. But she's determined to give them some water. That's one thing she wants. I forgot to tell you that conveniently there's a fountain nearby. This is the main square, I suppose, with a nozzle, the tap, what would you call it, shaped like a fish. And so she fills a cup, and despite protestations from townsfolk, she attempts to quench the prisoner's thirst. With some help from Harwin and Gendry. Some other town guy is like, oi, no. Not cool. The huntsman's not going to like that. At which point Angai goes, yeah, I'll bet he'll like this even less. And watch. Or rather, swoosh. Or whatever sound an arrow makes when you fire it at someone. As he proceeds, he fires an arrow right at the man's throat, the one who's still alive, giving him a sort of like, what do you call it, like a mercy killing. And yes, so and then he proceeds to take the other two out of their misery as well. Swoosh, swoosh. Yeah, that's I think I nailed that sound. At which point Arya goes, Valar Morghulis. Wait, has she learned what the sentence means? At some point, did somebody tell her? Because last I checked, did she just figure it out? Is she that much smarter than us? Because we readers only learned the meaning of Valar Morghulis, all men must die, in Daenerys 3. But if Arya figured it out all by herself, kudos to her. Anyway, now that ugly chapter is behind them, the outlaws head to the beach. All right, I was looking forward to reading that. And here it is, on the east side of that same square. The beach is a brothel. Why tiptoe around it? Which Arya initially thinks it's just a regular inn. But as soon as they all enter the premises, the innkeep, who's this buxom, red-haired lady, greets them in a way that's not exactly, hello, gentlemen. Why, what a pleasure to see you again. If I may be so bold. The usual table near the orchestra? No. Yeah, you know that? The stuff I just said? Yeah, that's not how the innkeep greets them. More like, I'm not sure if I can do the accent. Greenbeard, is it? Or is it Greybeard? Mother take mercy. When did you get so old? Len, is that you? Still wearing the same ratty cloak, are you? Yeah, I'm really crap at this. I know why you never wash it. I do. I do. My name is Michael Caine. I do. You're afraid all the piss will wash out and we'll see you're really knight of the King's Guard. That wasn't particularly funny. And Tobble Sevens, you randy old goat. You come to see that son of yours? Well, you're too late. He's off riding with that bloody huntsman. And don't you dare tell me he's not your son. He's got your nose. And the other parts as well, to hear the girls talk. Okay, so that's, you see, I will call the rather forward, wouldn't you? Okay, I did a crap job with the accent, I know, but you know that if that scene had been in the HBO series, which it isn't, the innkeep would have sounded something like that. The trope of the Cockney sex worker from ancient times, who may or may not have a heart of gold, a bit cliche, but there you go. Although it would have been done by a professional actor in the TV series, as opposed to yours truly. Anyway, even a first-time reader can pretty much infer by all these casual innuendos that although the line between a formal establishment and a brothel, such as the Peach, along the line between one and the other, the Peach is kind of closer to the latter. Does that make sense, what I just said? Formal establishment on the one end, brothel on the other. Yeah, the Peach, just by that kind of greeting you get from the maîtresse, puts it squarely closer to the brothel type place. I mean, it's called the Peach, for God's sake. There's a sign above the door with the emoji, with the peach emoji painted on it, as in oh la la, Actually, and a bite has been taken off the Peach. If you still don't get. So the logo is kind of like, Apple Macintosh, really, but with a peach instead of an apple. Yeah, get it? Yeah, all right, it's okay. So let's move on. And then, not content with that, the innkeep, she's unstoppable right now. She turns to Gendry. Oh, look at that specimen. How adorable. He's shy. Our girl's Alice can fix that for you. Wait till she sees you. She'll eat you alive. But you, the Peaches, girls, you're supposed to be the ones we eat alive, aren't they? But anyway, so Tom, by the way, Alice is supposed to, eat Gendry for breakfast, but we don't get to see her, actually. So, mystery. Tom makes it clear that, first thing first, their priorities are food and beds to sleep. So the innkeep says, all right, as long as they bathe and allow the girls to boil their clothes, because apparently the last time they slept in the inn, I don't know when, they caused a lice infestation. So there. So Arya doesn't like that one bit. You know how she is. Having to take another bath. Seriously. I literally had one like a fortnight ago. Poor Arya. Oh, a bath every 2 weeks. What next? Anyway, so two girls take Arya upstairs while having bets on whether she's a boy or a girl, and then give her a bath and replace the clothes she'd been wearing on the road with some kind of gown of linen and lace, and which reminds Arya of one of Sansa's dolls. Apparently, Sansa has this collection of possessed dolls. Just wearing lace. They're not necessarily possessed. But when she finally gets downstairs, Arya, she remembers the words of her former sword master, Syrio Forel. So once again, learn to see with your eyes, scan the room, what do you see, etc., etc. So she does scan the room and sees all the traffic of men taking girls upstairs. Plum, 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 plum. That's the saloon piano that plays in the background. And no, come on. You tell me that's not a Western saloon kind of trope. And Arya figures it all out. She goes, oh, I get it. She turns to Gendry. Do you know what? I bet this place is a brothel. Gendry's like, whatever, mate. You don't even know what a brothel is. Yes, I do. It's kind of like, it's like an inn, but with girls, and they do things with the guys upstairs. Not sure exactly what. Probably rearranging the furniture, judging by the noise coming from those rooms. So I don't know. So Gendry blushes again. Can you believe it? It's Arya who makes Gendry blush. Oh, God bless those two kids. And she goes, and Gendry goes, well, then if that's the case, you shouldn't even be there. We'll be here, this place being a brothel. It's no place for a highborn girl. And it's at this point that a sex worker overhears the conversation and goes, who's a highborn girl? What, this skinny one? Well, I'll have you know that my father was a king. And she tells them a story that may well be true, actually, because, as I said, when Robert Baratheon was in hiding in a brothel, because of all establishments, what did you think he was going to choose? He kept busy with all the girls, and apparently he got this particular girl's mother pregnant, because this gal is none other. The gal that approaches Gendry and Arya, is named Bella. Get it? I told you about it. Get Bella. Huh? See? Bells. Bella. Okay. So who was conceived as the bells started tolling? At which point we can just imagine Robert turning to this woman and going, "Sorry, love, gotta go out there and fight, you know what I mean? I can't be staying here in bed with you while my mates are doing all the fighting and taking one for the team on my behalf, you know? Can I? No. All right, off I go. All right, kiss for good luck, ta-ta," and off he goes. To his credit, Robert always did say that the victory in Stony Sept was really Ned Stark's victory, rather than his own, because apparently he joined when the fighting had already started. Anyway, so this is where Arya thinks, get a load of this. Yeah, you know what? That the Bella might actually be telling it true in George R. R. Martin's parlance. Because she does. I mean, look at her. She does have, coal black hair like Robert used to have. Yeah. Yeah, but nah, come on. Why am I so gullible? A lot of people have coal black hair. Why? Even Gendry here has coal black hair. It doesn't mean anything. Oh my God. Georgie. I mean, right? Yeah? If that wasn't a little did she know moment. Oh, because, little does Arya know that Gendry is, in fact, another one of Robert Baratheon's sons, illegitimate sons. What a horny king, by the way. And it's a classical example of the information that only readers have, while all characters in the novel will go through the life blissfully unaware of this fun fact. Interesting, huh? So Bella predictably turns to Gendry and goes, "Want to go upstairs, Gendry boy? Seeing that you and I are clearly not related at all? Come on, dude, ring my bell. After all, it's not like you and I are from the same father." But Gendry is not interested, or maybe just plain shy. And he just storms out of the inn. Yeah. Nah, shy boy. What are you going to do? "What's the matter? Doesn't he like girls?" asks Bella, to which Arya, kind of missing the point, goes, "He's just stupid. He likes to polish helmets and beat on swords with hammers." That's my cat's comment. Whereas Bella comments, okay, right. It's too much information. I'm just going to go over there, yeah? Whatever. Anyway, a minute later, Bella finds another bloke and everything turns jolly again. Every one of the Brotherhood without banners is having a blast with a girl, all except for Tom, who, in spite of his reputation as a womanizer, insisted that he was only interested in a bed, I told you before, and right now he's playing the harp and singing, and everyone is jolly and laughing a bit too hard. Arya reckons. Perhaps because everyone is trying too hard to forget that just across the square, a dozen dead guys are rotting in crow cages. So, yeah. So let's all have a drink and forget about it. So while she's all alone, 3 more recurrent motifs crop up again. A. Arya entertains the idea of stealing a horse and escaping, but she immediately rejects it because, how far would she go? With the gate closed shut. B. Tom is singing yet another song about getting laid. And C. The gossip all over the inn centers around, you've guessed it, Jaime Lannister. But wait, thinks Arya. This time they're talking about my mother. Not Arya's mother, Catelyn. So since this time no one is telling Arya she should go to bed, and these are not conversations a little girl should hear, etc., like in the last chapter, this time she has the chance to actually listen attentively, because listen with your ears, Syrio Forel would tell her. Because Catelyn is mentioned in this conversation by the red-haired innkeep, who I forgot to tell you is called Tansy. Tansy, right? Yeah, I know.
as in the main ingredient for moon tea used to get rid of unwanted pregnancies, we know by now. Anyway, so Tansy is saying this about Kathleen. Said, oh, she spent the night in Jamie's cell. Her and this other wench, the one who slew Renly, all three of them together. And come the morn, Lady Kathleen cut him loose for love. Which, yes, technically is all true, but it have some kernels of truth, But you see what George R. R. Martin is doing here. By cherry-picking information, leaving crucial parts out. Yes, you can make anything sound sleazy and depraved. And we will see this time, we'll see it this time and again, this kind of, just tell your subjective interpretation of a story. You don't even have to twist the facts too much to make it sound, to give it whatever angle, whatever spin you want. Like, for example, in a future chapter in this same book, concerning the trial of a certain POV character, where evidence is brought which looked at in a certain angle and leaving some contexts out does really sound incriminating against the defendant. That's all I'm going to say about it, because I told you about my no spoiler policy, right? And if I haven't, I'm telling you now. In this series, I'm only going to be looking back and not forward or ahead. Anyway, what is Tansy saying? That Kathleen and Brienne slipped into Jamie's cell at night. That's all true. That's all true. In fact, she might have even added that Kathleen got him drunk on wine first. Why not? To make it sound even sleazier. And that Kathleen eventually freed Jamie for love. Yes, for love of her own daughters. After threatening Jamie at sword point and making him swear he would go to King's Landing to free Sansa and Arya and hand them over to Brienne so they could be returned safely to their mother. But that version of events doesn't make for a juice gossip story for the peach, dear listener. Therefore, it's told in a certain way. And that's probably how Tansy heard it in the first place. So anyway, Arya only hears the partial and distorted version of the narrative and doesn't believe a word of it. And that's when she's approached by a creep, you guys, who literally approaches a 10-year-old girl with a pickup line. Hello, you lovely peach. Villains also have to have this accent, apparently, by the rules of Hollywood. Unless it's the posh accent. But we'll get to that. Hello, you lovely peach. You all alone? Yeah? What's your name, love? So something along those lines. Anyways, it's a pickup line. And we're told that this guy's breath smells worse than the rotting dead guys in the crow cages out there. And his little, this is a literal text, I underlined it, highlighted it. His little pig eyes were crawling up and down on Arya. Jeez, imagine that. Who is Arya, who is predictably cautious and is about to give the creep a false name. It's just she can't remember which false name she happens to be using at the moment. See, Arya's arc carries on in that direction. The multiple identities, none of which is real. By the way, we know Arya is 10. Yeah, I told you earlier she's 10. Because it says so in the appendix. Yeah, I never read the appendixes thoroughly enough. I always keep going to the wiki of Ice and Fire first, when in fact a lot of info is right there in the appendix on the actual text. Anyway, I thought I'd point that out. It says Arya is a girl of 10 in the appendix of A Storm of Swords. Anyway, so it's Gendry back from his walk, who saves the situation and goes, "She's my sister, you'd better leave her alone." There. So the man seems to be about to start a fight, but then takes a look at Gendry's size and makes himself scarce. Which reveals to us readers that yes, Gendry may be a kid, but he's a massive kid. Every inch is old man, isn't it? So Arya's all like, what did you say that for? You're not my brother. Every time, a well-meaning intention, good deed, and it just goes to crap. Yeah, because it's Arya says that, because she's a child, but then in turn, Gendry is going to take it personally. And indeed, it's a very strange way of saying thank you for rescuing me from that creep. Yeah, okay. But Gendry also doesn't take it like a man. He goes, go figure why. He gets all pissed off about it and goes, oh yeah, well, sorry, I'm not worth it. You're highborn and I'm just from Flea Bottom or whatever. Sorry for even thinking for a minute that I could pass for your brother. What with me being such a lowborn and all, excuse me. So he gets real pissy about it. Okay, all these dialogues, by the way, are paraphrased. You might have realized. But anyway, so he storms off again. I just keeps doing that. He goes, do you know what? I think I'll find that coal black-haired girl and ring her bell in her parlance. Yeah, no, Gendry, trust me. If I were you, I would select a different company for the night. Maybe that Alice, so at least we get to see what she looks like. No, because and a description, because she doesn't feature at all in this chapter. And Arya is all like a stupid bull-headed bastard boy. That's all he is. He can ring all the bells he wants for all I care, which is really funny because Arya still has no idea what is really meant by that expression. So anyway, soon enough, it's bedtime for Arya. So off she goes. Apparently, there's only one bed for bona fide sleeping. None of your other hanky-panky activities that go on, that take place under the roof of the old peach. And it appears to be this one massive bed occupying an entire room. Just now, Arya has the bed all to herself, with everyone else busy with the gals in other rooms. But she does think just now she had the bed to herself. Just now. That means, that once Gendry, Harwin, Tom, Angai, Lem, Jack B. Lucky, etc., once they're done and they're kicked out of their respective rooms because different punters will want to see them, I imagine, they will all come and share that bed with Arya, a 10-year-old girl. Oh, no, that's all kind of wrong, really. That's all kind of wrong. Oh, no, I shouldn't be laughing. But yeah, that's the world, that's the universe, of a storm of ice and fire. What are you going to do? Anyway, like a good girl, Arya says her prayers before falling asleep, which in her case boil down to a kill list. Queen Cersei, King Joffrey, Cerilyn, Sir Meryn, Dunsen, Raff, and Polliver, the Tickler. Polliver, the Tickler is two people. The Hound and Sir Gregor the Mountain. These are in the TV series. It was Yoren who taught her to say the names of anyone you want to exact revenge on. But here in the books, I think it was Jack and Agar who taught her. Well, no, he didn't actually teach her, but he did say to her pretty much, the first step is uttering the name of whoever you want, dead, and then I'll do the deed. So unless I'm getting my timeline all muddled up, the first time she was given this idea, I think, was from Jack and Agar, maybe indirectly, unless I'm missing a crucial part of the story. I don't remember. You'll let me know. Dear listener. Be it as it may, Arya falls asleep immediately and dreams of wolves. What else, right? Yeah. She dreams she's even howling, and she wakes up to the sound of dogs barking. Interesting. So she gets up, Gendry on her left, Lem Lemoncloak on her right, and has to hop over Lem, Tom and Jack Be Lucky just to reach the window and have a look what's going on. So what she sees is a whole pack of dogs, a dozen riders, and a bunch of town folks gathered around a new prisoner with coils of hempen rope tied around his wrists. And Arya can't quite make out who this new prisoner is at first, but we know who owns these dogs, don't we? Must be this huntsman. At last we get to see him. finally. Anyway, so what these riders do is they open up the crow cage where one of the northerners died just the previous day, the fat one, and they tug his arm until his swollen corpse spills out onto the ground. The dogs go at him at once, tearing chunks of flesh off his bones. Charming images, I must say. But the riders do this because they need to put this new prisoner inside that same cage. And one of the riders, we imagine the huntsman, goes, "Here's your new castle, you bloody Lannister bastard, a little snug for the likes of you, but we'll squeeze you in, never fret. You'll rot in them cages. The crows will be picking out your eyes while we're spending all that good Lannister gold of yours. And when them crows are done, we'll send what's left of you to your bloody brother. Though I doubt he'll know you." Yeah, that's the exact, the verbatim quote. I mean, he's not exactly the sort of jailer that says that would say things like, "Yes, sorry, mate, nothing personal, but you know how it is. War is war and all that." No. Not exactly. You can kind of see where he's coming from. This huntsman, he really has a, what do you call it, a beef with Westerners. I don't blame him. So Gendry and Tom squeeze in to also have a look out the window. The latter is wearing nothing but his birth suit, by the way. I told you this sleeping arrangement was all kinds of wrong. And in the meantime, the villagers are busy throwing dung at this prisoner, because why not? Yeah, it's all a bit of fun. There must be huge amounts of dung available in the square. They actually, or maybe they went out there and fetched some manure so they could fling it at this new prisoner. Yeah, who knows? That's how they roll, maybe. Okay, so you know what? Dear listener, from now until the end of this commentary, I will assume you are a first-time reader. Let's play a game. Yeah, I want to play a game. What do you think this prisoner is? Who do you think this prisoner is? I mean, we know that George wants us to think that it's Jaime Lannister because, hey, you bloody Lannister, blah, 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 subliminally. He's been steering our thoughts towards Jaime the entire chapter, okay? He's the man everybody's looking for. His name has been mentioned a few times by several characters, but a couple of elements don't fit. I mean, first, last time we saw Jaime, he was a captive, held by Vargo Hoat and the Bloody Mummers in Maidenpool. I mean, did the huntsman ride all the way to Maidenpool and snatch Jaime from the brave companions, leaving Brienne behind, presumably? I don't know, it's quite a ride, considering that we know the huntsman's dogs were sniffing around the Blackwater Rush. Now, just look at the map. So unless characters in this book have learned how to teleport, like in Game of Thrones seasons 7 and 8, but no, they haven't. So let's see. What if the huntsman is addressing this prisoner as Lannister loosely, as in person on the Lannisters' payroll? There are characters who fit the bill, still unaccounted for. There's Barristan Selmy, remember him? Head of the Kingsguard, left King's Landing and the service as Kingsguard, slamming the door behind him, all the way back in Book 1, Sansa 5. We don't know where he's at, or do we? Interesting. Then, speaking of deserters, there's Sandor Clegane, a.k.a. the Hound, also a former Kingsguard, and... we know that he packed and left deserted. He packed and left King's Landing, never to be heard from again. It happened in Book 2, A Clash of Kings, Sansa 7. Wow, we wouldn't have any of that info without Sansa. Look at that, all these chapters are Sansa. Sansa 5 in Game of Thrones, Sansa 7 in A Clash of Kings. So anyway, could this prisoner be Sandor? And speaking of Cleganes, what about Gregor Clegane? I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I know you did, silently. Because the last we heard, Gregor Clegane was busy chasing Northmen, in the aftermath of the Battle of Duskendale. Remember that whole plan discussed at the Small Council in Tyrion 3, this same book? So yeah, Robert Glover was fleeing Duskendale, admittedly light years away from where we are right now, which is Stony Sept. But what if the chase brought Clegane in the vicinity of Stony Sept, just so the huntsman could capture him with his dogs? The irony, right? Because you know that the Cleganes have dogs on their sigil. I know it's not very... Okay, this might not be very realistic, because Clegane would have to be at the head of an army, presumably. So, yeah, good luck catching him. But I just like the idea of the huntsman trying to fit the mountain inside that crow cage. One can dream, right? Why not? Oh, come on. You'd love to see that. You too. No? No? Okay, no. Also, if we want to enter into some really wild, tinfoil hat speculations, let's not forget Peter Baelish, also known as Littlefinger, who last we heard was being sent to the Eyrie in a scheme to marry Lysa and bring the Vale to the crown, Same, as I believe, the same book, Tyrion 3 chapter. But knowing Littlefinger, could it be possible that following up on one of his schemes, is it possible that he took a humongous detour, unbeknownst to everyone else, for reasons unknown, only to be intercepted by the huntsman? How about that? Wouldn't that be interesting? Anyway, so, all right, okay, we'll leave this open, because George R. R. Martin does leave it open, and so will we. Back to this chapter then. The general consensus up in that room is that the prisoner is indeed Jaime Lannister, until, let me quote from the text, "A thrown stone caught the captive on the cheek, turning his head. Not the Kingslayer, Arya thought, when she saw his face. The gods had heard her prayers after all. Aha! So I guess this narrows it down, because if by prayers Martin means Arya's kill list, well, I guess it's got to be one of those characters, huh? Okay, I suppose that rules out Barristan Selmy and Littlefinger. Ta-ta-ta. Anyway, that's all we know, dear listener, because on this cliffhanger, Arya 5, The Storm of Swords, ends. So thank you for listening this far. I hope you enjoyed it. And if indeed you do enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to do the things that ordinary people do under such circumstances. Even though we're not ordinary, we're extraordinary. But there, I said it. And as for me, I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye-bye.